Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. My name is Chris Schad. I write for the Viking Age as well as Bring Me the News, Zone Coverage, and the Brookings Register. My co-host, who you see to my right, is Adam Patrick. He is the managing editor of the Viking Age. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also on Apple and Spotify the very next day, but however you consume us, don't forget to rate, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. Adam, before we start screaming into the abyss here about everything surrounding the Vikings, I'm going to be polite. I'm going to ask, how was your Christmas?
It was good. My oldest son's born on Christmas, so it's always a busy day because half the day is Christmas and the other half's his birthday. So it's always busy and exhausting, but it went well. Lots of wrapping paper, picking up, taking stuff out of boxes, and bringing all that stuff to the dumpster, but it was good. And yeah, I think nobody's sick right now, so that's good. The first week didn't go so well, so we're winding down here, and everyone's going back to school soon. But Christmas was good. Christmas probably wasn't as good for the Vikings, but that's their own fault. Well, maybe that's more Nick Mullins' fault than it is Vikings.
Yeah, I went home on Christmas Eve just in time for the Vikings game, and I think my family is still traumatized from me screaming at the TV, I believe I called Nick Mullins a needle dick bitch on that last interception. I know that's not professional, but
completely sober, right?
After about 3 anxiety beers and a shot of Fireball, I think some just as good as truth serum.
That was for breakfast.
Yes, that was for breakfast. Fan Chris and professional Chris are two different things. Fan Chris is the one you see when I'm not writing article. I mean, hell, you see Fan Chris when I'm writing articles too, because sometimes I just can't help it, and I have a sense of humor. And if you don't have a sense of humor with this team, you're just going to be absolutely miserable. Mm-hmm. I was pretty upset because Nick Mullins, he gave away footballs faster than Kevin O'Connell during a pregame speech, or excuse me, a postgame speech. I botched the joke, but outcomes and situations and everything else, you just can't get that. So I just give a game ball to everybody and say, fuck it. And that's one last thing I have to think about.
The last speech we saw was the 3-0 game. We haven't seen one in like 6 weeks.
Show the losing speeches, you cowards.
yeah, right.
You know what? 4 months ago, we set out on a mission, and that mission was to win 9 games. Not 10, not 8, not anything. 9 and 8. If we made the playoffs, we made the playoffs. If we didn't, we made the playoffs. But Nick Mullins, I would give you a game ball, but you're just going to give it to the Lions right away anyway. So we're going to just we're just going to move on here. Let's look into the future, because we didn't have a show on Monday. Thank God, because I probably would have said some other things about Nick Mullins I probably would have regretted under a much sober landscape. Jaren Hall is starting against the Green Bay Packers. Nick Mullins, of course, has thrown 6 interceptions in 2 starts for the Vikings since taking over Josh Dobbs. He had 4 against the Lions on Christmas Eve. Also, Pro Football Focus giving Nick Mullins a 10.8% turnover-worthy play rate. Not great. No. Not great for a team who just turns the ball over by breathing air. Just why does the other team have the ball? This is weird. They're second in the league in turnovers this year. So if you want to look at why the Vikings are clinging on to dear life for a playoff spot, that's probably reason number 1. I wish Nick Mullins all the best, but at the same time, I never want to see his face again, because watching that game over and over, it's just the photos of Nick Mullins throwing. It's just and there's guys draped over him, and he's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to throw it 50 yards down the field because I have a massive arm. 50. He is literally football's version of Scrappy-Doo. Like, I don't know. Like, some people are like, what's Scrappy Doo? Go back, watch old cartoons, and Scrappy Doo was like Scooby Doo's cousin. And he was just like getting into fights and stuff, even though he was like a puppy. And like, that's Nick Mullins. It's like, I have a howitzer of a cannon. I'm Brett Favre compared with Patrick Mahomes. No, you don't. You're Nick Mullins. You suck. Okay. And, like you said, it was a very good thing we didn't have a podcast.
He's got the mentality of Brett Favre, but the arm of Christian Ponder.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, just thinking about it is just having me short circuit right now. So let's again move towards the future. Kevin O'Connell announced that Jaren Hall is the starter. Hall started the November 5th game against the Falcons. He completed 5 of 6 passes, 78 yards before suffering a concussion. Every Viking fan has hung that in the lover, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. And Josh Dobbs came in, Nick Mullins came in, and now Jaren Hall gets his turn. So, is this the right call? Should they have tossed Hall in sooner? What are you thinking?
I think it's the right call for now. I don't think they really had a choice. Like, but for as well, I guess you could say as Nick Mullins is playing, the offense is moving well up and down the field, but his turnovers were just too costly. Like, the Vikings lost by 6 or 7 against the Lions, and that was with 4 interceptions. You throw 1 less or 2 less interceptions, you win that game. So it didn't really matter that they were moving the ball up and down the field, because they were just, it was like a ticking time bomb of when Nick Mullins was going to turn the ball over. And I think Kevin O'Connell was just frustrated with that. And the second quarterback to throw 4 interceptions in the last few weeks, he's just like, I just need to find someone who can not just don't throw 4 interceptions. Like, just like Jaren Hall, just throw 3.
Seems like a low bar to clear, doesn't it?
But just throw 3. You can throw 3, but don't throw 4. But at the same time, I think Kevin O'Connell deserves a little bit of the blame too for not really adjusting his offense with these backups. Like, I was just reading something from ESPN's Kevin Seifert, and O'Connell was kind of it felt like kind of bragging about how he hasn't adjusted really anything, and they're still running the same schemes. They're still being just as aggressive. They're not taking the easy throws, and it's just like, okay, that's great. Your offense is productive. You're getting, good yards per play or whatever, but you've lost 4 of the last 5. These quarterbacks clearly have had too much pressure put on them. They can't handle it, and they're trying to do too much, and you're not helping them out by, running the ball or giving them quick throws. So, do I expect anything different with 2 weeks left in the season with Jaren Hall? No. So unfortunately, I don't know if much is going to change in terms of turnovers with Jaren Hall. I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he's a rookie, and he's going to make mistakes anyways. But I'll root for the kid, and I from every time I watch Jaren Hall speak, like in his pressers or whatever, I always come away impressed. And then I remember, like, oh yeah, he's like 25, 26, so he's pretty mature for a rookie. But I always come away impressed. He seems, composed. He doesn't look like he doesn't belong up there. But right now, the Vikings didn't really have a choice. But I'm not so sure things are going to really get any better with Jaren Hall back there.
I think, someone played kind of this hindsight game, like, oh, they should have played him 2 weeks earlier. And I kind of agree with that. Like, even looking back, so Josh Dobbs is in there. He's struggling. They put Nick Mullins in. Okay, he knows the offense, whatever. Is 2 weeks really going to make a difference from Jaren Hall doing what Nick Mullins did over the last 2 weeks to, oh my God, he's Peyton Manning? Or if you threw him in for a month, kind of went to it and said, hey, this isn't working. Maybe you're not ready. I mean, we got a comment right here from Dem Boys Good. I don't know if that's like Dem Boys like the Briscoes or Dem Boys like the Cowboys, as in who gonna stop them? People stopped him last 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard, wide open end zone, stopped at the 1. Weird.
Like, it's got the Madison disease, I guess.
Yeah, just can't sniff the end zone. DeAndre Swift syndrome. where he gets down at the one all the time.
At least DeAndre Swift gains more than -2 yards per carry.
This is true. Yeah. I mean, it's also pretty funny because Jason Kelsey was talking, and
oh yeah, when he
last
gets to
time
the
he
one,
went
he's
down to
like,
the one, he's like, you know what we're gonna do,
yeah,
right?
sorry.
He's like,
you're
yeah.
you're not getting this touchdown.
But Jaren Hall, I think you have to ask, what are reasonable expectations? Because I think the best case scenario for Jaren Hall is that he plays good and you have a backup quarterback and you don't have to do this whole, all right, we got journeyman number 1, we got journeyman number 2, we got to, like piecing things together. Jaren Hall, I think he can be a solid backup. I don't think he's going to be your starting franchise quarterback in the future. I said that when he was drafted because, as you mentioned, the guy is 25. I'm not even going to call him a kid. The guy is 25 years old. He spent 5 years in college. He went 2 on a mission, which, that's what you do when you go to BYU. Yeah. And I think like his first observation from his NFL start, he was talking to the media. He's like, God, those guys are fast out there. It's like,
yeah.
Yep. Welcome to the NFL, Mr. 25-year-old. Like my thing is kind of what you mentioned. Can Kevin O'Connell please help this kid out? Because if you're gonna have, I mean, we've seen this before. Like, this is my system, and I am unwilling to adapt to anyone because this is the system.
Like North Turner.
Dude, you don't have Kirk Cousins back there anymore. You don't have Matthew Stafford. You don't even have Jameis Winston back there. I mean, you had, in terms of turnovers, had
Colt McCoy
the last
back
couple
there.
Of weeks. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, Zach Taylor over in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow goes down. They put Jake Browning in. They somehow found a way to kind of stick around in the playoff race after that happened because they switched things up. They ran more play action. They ran more screens. Holy shit, screens that work. What a concept. They stuck with the run, even though they got stopped on the first couple. And you know what? Ty Chandler was dog shit on Sunday too. I know, Chris, you said Christian Darrisaw said in the post game that, hey, I didn't think the running game was bad. I'm sure the offensive line did their job, but the running back didn't know which hole to pick. So Kevin O'Connell was like, okay. But I mean, to seriously just go 20-yard pass after 20-yard pass after 20-yard pass downfield because Kirk Cousins can do it doesn't work for anybody else. So a guy like Jaren Hall, who also doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, don't have him go out there and just go downfield, risk it, biscuit, boogity, 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 fuck, I'm Bruce Arians type of offense.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you've heard him talk. So, I mean, that's accurate. Like,
yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier how Nick Mullins has had like a 10% turnover ratio or rate or whatever. Well, he had 40 dropbacks last week, so 10% of that as a turnover every 10 dropbacks, and guess what? He had a turnover every 10 dropbacks. So yeah, like Kevin. Yeah. It's weird because we thought Kevin O'Connell was going to be this guy that kind of played more to his players' strengths and adjusted things as he went along, and he's done it here and there. But you look at a team like the Browns, who have also had 4 different starting quarterbacks this season, and they just clinched a playoff berth last night. I think they're 11-5. Right now they're rolling with 38-year-old Joe Flacco, who is just playing out of his mind. Like that.
But the Vikings totally should have saw this coming.
They should have. They passed. They didn't. They saw his 3-14 record in his last 17 starts before this season, and were like, you know what? I still think he's got something. But it just goes to show, like Kevin Stefanski, he's adjusted his offense. They lost Nick Chubb first game of the year. They're still running the ball 30 times a game without Nick Chubb. And whether that's, just Stefanski's offensive philosophy or not, but I feel like Stefanski's been a coach long enough in this league to realize, these guys are not Deshaun Watson. Even Deshaun Watson can't really do the things that he used to do. Like, I can't put this offense on their back, like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I need to help them. I need to give them, easier passes, rely more on the running game, switch things up just to make things easier. And Kevin O'Connell's just like, no, we got Josh Dobbs back there. He's gonna do some 7-step drops. He's gonna run some play action even when the run game isn't even working, and we're gonna have him go over all 5 of his progressions, see who's open the most, and see if he can throw there. It's like, no, just like, what are we doing? Come on.
And if he runs, I'm gonna get upset.
Yeah, if he gets a first down, you suck. What are you doing? But like, I don't know if he expects these guys to come in right away and just be Kirk Cousins, or he just wants them. He's just so fixated on running his offense, and he doesn't want to switch it up to the detriment of the other players in the offense. But like, this is the NFL. You have to. Injuries happen every year. You have to adjust. Like when Justin Jefferson was out, did Jordan Addison like take over the role of Justin Jefferson? No, he didn't. Like they spread the ball around to Addison, Hawkinson, KJ Osborne when he caught the ball. Brandon Powell got involved. Like, why was that easy to do? But other stuff, you have to adjust. You can't. Like, you get an entirely new quarterback, and you're like, you just need to do the same exact things that Kirk does. And if you can't do it, well, then I'm going to bench you. So it's like, oh, okay. So like, Nick Mullins is not good, but I don't really blame him entirely for the struggles that he's had in the last 2 weeks. I put a bunch of that on Kevin O'Connell as well.
Well, with that in mind, why don't they just bring Kirk Cousins back next season? Because that's kind of the next thing I'm thinking here is saw a lot of tweets on Christmas Eve saying like, look at this, Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs, they suck. Like, do you want to roll with these guys forever and ever? Just bring Kirk back. Give him what he wants. Like Kirk's in schools. He's getting everybody hyped up like he's Santa Claus dishing out PS5s all over the place. He's got the boombox in the tunnel and everybody's just like, Mike Kirky. Like everybody was like Kyle Shanahan over Mike Kirky. I wish you were here. When this is over, we should get an apartment together. And Kirk's like, no, that's a sin.
No.
Do the Vikings? I think everybody knows where we stand on Kirk Cousins, but do the Vikings absolutely need to bring back Kirk Cousins? Give him a blank check. Come back, Kirky. We'll do whatever you want. Like, what should they do here?
Well, I think people assume that you want him out of town no matter what, regardless. Like next year, no matter what, just get rid of him. And I don't think that we agree with that. I think that we want a plan to be put in place to find someone who has maybe a better chance at accomplishing what you want to accomplish. And if you have to keep Kirk Cousins around for another year or two to accomplish that, then fine. But you need to make some steps, trade up in the draft, get a guy who you think you can build around, and start from there. Like Kirk Cousins, he gives you what he can give you. He's shown in the past that he has limitations. I don't care what he does in October and November. I really don't. He does it every year. Come December, come January, come those heated situations, he's just not that guy. I don't care that he had giant comeback against the Colts last year, who were terrible and had a coach from ESPN on their sideline running things. Who recently, did you see he came out and said, like, I think it was McAfee, where he went in the locker room, they were up like 33-0 and a half, and he was like, guys, we're in trouble. He knew that they were not playing well. And,
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, he's like, this is not good. I know we're up 33 points, but we're not playing well. Because I don't think the offense scored that many points. It was like special teams and defense. But yeah, like, okay, I understand bringing Kirk Cousins back, but if and it also depends on what he wants. This has been thrown out there too. I heard, I was listening to, I think it was the Access Vikings podcast with Ben Gessling and Andrew Kramer from the Star Tribune yesterday, and Gessling was saying how if Kirk Cousins wants, $40 million or more a year, then he's probably not going to get that from the Vikings. So he's going to have to, maybe if he wants to stay in Minnesota, he's going to have to make some sacrifices as well. And then, you got the comments from Justin Jefferson. What is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to be like, oh, I'm counting. I have a countdown calendar, at home. I'm just counting down the days until Kirk Cousins gets his ass out of here, because I'm finally looking forward to, winning a playoff game. Finally looking forward to, someone who can, throw the ball to me in crunch time. No, he's not going to say that. He's not that kind of guy. He's never been that kind of guy. Like even Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs, as much as they were struggling the last few weeks, Jefferson was still like, yeah, they struggle, but they do really well in practice, and we have confidence in them. Blah 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 blah. Like that's what he is. He's not going to throw anyone under the bus. That's not the kind of guy he is, regardless of what he thinks. And then people are insinuating that, oh, Jefferson's not going to sign if Cousins doesn't sign, and I don't believe that. I'm sure he wants Cousins to come back because he is used to. He's built this this chemistry with Cousins, and he doesn't, and he likes it. He gets the ball a lot, and Cousins most of the time puts the ball where he needs it to be, and he likes that. So yeah, of course he would want him back, but at the same time, I think he would also, if the Vikings are going to move on, he would like input on who the Vikings are going to bring in. Are they going to draft someone? Is Jefferson going to be okay with the transition? Which I think he will, because he's going to be making a shitload of money. But I do think he's not going to be in training camp next summer if he doesn't have an extension by then, because look what just happened to TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson, had his back ear problems and equilibrium or whatever. He got his contract, and now he just tore his ACL, but he's, he doesn't have to worry about his money because he just signed that deal. So that's got to be in the back of Jefferson's mind too. But yeah, once again, this offseason, will they or won't they bring back Kirk Cousins? It's just a never-ending circle of death. The Vikings can't escape.
I'm tired, man.
Yeah,
I am so tired of this.
It's literally been every offseason since he was signed.
And like, you know what? I mean, I think MJF had this long Maxwell Jacob Friedman, for those of you who don't speak
from
wrestling.
AEW.
Yes, and he had this long post on the Players Tribune this morning, and it basically said that anybody who's not polarizing isn't worth a fuck. Like they're just not worth your time. And I think that's true of Cousins. Like Kirk's a good quarterback again, but you're also paying him elite money. That's where the problem is. And you have people on one side of the spectrum who Kirk is the greatest ever. Look at his stats and everything else. And look at what Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins did and all this stuff. And you have people on the other side who are just like, dude, he can't win a playoff game. He melts down just about every time you have a big game. Like, get him out of here. Stop paying him $40-50 million a year. I think he's only making $35 million a year, but that's the thing. Like I have a problem with people who say, oh, bring Kirk Cousins back no matter what. You saw what happened here. The season went, so there was something special going on with the Vikings. Let's talk about the Vikings this year. They started 1-4, right?
Yeah.
They started 1-4 with Kirk Cousins in the lineup, and Justin Jefferson was in the lineup for all 5 of those games. Now he got hurt in the 5th one, but that doesn't really matter. So you were in a 1-4 hole with Kirk Cousins. Kirko goes out on Monday Night Football, shreds the 49ers, who are at half strength because they were missing Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, and Deebo Samuel.
McCaffrey was hurt, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yes.
He was banged up.
I mean, honestly, you weren't facing full strength Christian McCaffrey, and you weren't facing full strength 49ers.
No.
But he goes out, he beats the Niners. They put the chain on his neck. Everybody laughs because they're like, oh, Kirko chains. He goes out, he shreds a Packers defense that is absolute dog shit. Even the most loyal Green Bay Packer fans are just like, this fucking sucks. Get Joe Barry out of here. And like everybody's like, oh my God, Kirko was shredding him. And then he got back and tore his Achilles, and the whole season was ruined. Kirk Cousins has these stretches every goddamn year. It's so consistent. They haven't fucking month named after it. They call it Kirktober. And like everybody's just like, oh my God, those 2 games that Kirk played. You know what happened before those 2 games? How about the Chargers game? How about the Chargers game where he couldn't hear Kevin O'Connell, so he pissed himself and called his own play? How about the Eagles game where he self-circuited and then all of a sudden put up all these garbage time stats and, oh, people are shitting on Kirk for no reason. It's been the same fucking thing for the last 6 years. And then you go ahead and you look at the Vikings in 2024. Let's look at the Vikings in 2024 because it's going to be a hell of a lot different than it is right now. You have Danielle Hunter, who is a free agent. You have TJ Hawkinson, who's probably not going to be ready for the start of the season after shredding his knee on Christmas Eve. Dalton Reisner is a free agent. He's probably going to want to get paid after he didn't get paid last year. Jordan Hicks is a free agent. Harrison Smith might retire. You still need to upgrade your defensive line and secondary, who has like no impact players.
Brian Flores might leave.
Yep. And then you have, you're going to pay a quarterback $40 million fully guaranteed. And I know you said it yourself too. Well, maybe Kirk will have a change of heart. He hasn't. We have a 6-year. We have more than that. We got an 8-year sample size, even all the way back in Washington. I want a fully guaranteed contract to secure the long-term viability of my family. And hey, go get your money. That's fine. But when it comes to the Vikings, they can't afford to give a guy $40 million if he is not elite. Like if you went and gave Lamar Jackson $40 million last offseason and sacrificed 2 first-round picks, I think the Vikings would be in pretty good shape. But if you do it with Kirk Cousins, you're not going to look at anything. So I get the competitive rebuild thing, and you don't want to waste Justin Jefferson's prime. I totally get that. But KOC got a team to 500 largely without Kirk Cousins. So I don't know, man. You don't have to bring Kirk Cousins back.
Yeah. And the thing about Justin Jefferson, like wasting his prime, you look at the teams around the league and the best ones like that win not most of the teams that win a championship, they don't have like a Justin Jefferson. They don't have like a bona fide top 5 receiver. Now some do, obviously. Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs when he was there. We look at a team like the Patriots or the Eagles a couple years ago. They didn't have a Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams. Like they had a team, and I think that should be the goal. Like figuring out how to get the most complete team that you can. And I don't know if bringing back Cousins for another multi-year deal. I don't even know if paying Danielle Hunter the amount of money that he's going to want is a smart idea. I know he's a great pass rusher, but he's going to want a lot of money, and you have to pay Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, other guys as well. You're going to want to add people in free agency.
I'm paying Danielle Hunter.
Well, I know.
In my mind, I'm paying because you have no impact players on that side of the ball.
Do you think you can pay him and Kirk Cousins?
That's a question for Rob Brzezinski. Because that guy is the ultimate. He's the. Well,
you know how we can add 8 void years to Kirk Cousins' contract and give him the Bobby Bonilla deal, and the
Shohei Ohtani deal.
Yeah.
Cashing in those $70 million checks.
That's the thing. Like
decade.
I think Kevin O'Connell. I know Kevin O'Connell would pick Kirk Cousins over Danielle Hunter. He's an offensive guy, and he wants that. I don't know if he's kind of fallen victim of the same thing too, where like you look at Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs and you're like, oh, I wish I had Kirk back there. But it's like, we watched that quarterback series. How many times did he get frustrated with Kirk Cousins last year? Like he's got different, maybe different, less obvious shortcomings and short circuits, but he's got just as many as those guys do too. He's more conservative, so he's not those mistakes and problems don't come in the form of interceptions or fumbles. They come in the form of 3 and outs or, not getting it on a 4th down and on a last 2-minute drive. Like they come in different forms, but he's had just as many problems.
Well, here's another idea for you. What if the Vikings got rid of Kirk Cousins in his contract and signed Russell Wilson to the same contract and then plugged him in? Because that sounds like a really smart idea to me. Bet Online has the Vikings as the favorite.
What do they know?
5-1. 5-1 to land Russell Wilson next year.
What do they know?
Yes, the Broncos are benching Russell Wilson because he is due his 25 salary at the end of March. If he gets hurt, they kind of jacks with that and they can't cut him. It's kind of like the Dalvin Cook thing. Is like, oh, my shoulder hurts, surgery. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I got $2 million for that. I mean, it doesn't make sense to do that. We're hearing like it's not just Bet Online. It's like other, like I think Diana Rossini like listed the Vikings as a potential thing.
Fox
It's like
Sports, their account did it too.
This doesn't make sense.
No.
It makes zero sense. Like here's the thing that I think people also need to remind themselves of. The Vikings play in the NFC, which is a different ballgame than the AFC. Look at all the franchise quarterbacks that are in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Joe
Allen.
Burrow, Lamar Jackson. I've named 6
Joe Flacco.
already. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Joe Flacco. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is out there now. Like it's literally an arms race in the AFC. In the NFC, it's, hey, who's got the best supporting cast? That's why Brock Purdy's an MVP candidate, because, there's Debo, there's Kittle, there's, an elite offensive line, there's Christian McCaffrey, like all these weapons to help Brock. Like, you just need to retool in the NFC to compete, as opposed to full scale rebuild. Nobody told the Bears that, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. I mean, going and paying Russell Wilson because you feel you have to, you don't have to. You can get a stopgap if you want. Like I'll say it this way. Like, I don't think Russell Wilson is a fit for Kevin O'Connell anyway, because he's like that guy played in structure in Seattle with Pete Carroll. And he's like, let me cook. And it was like bologna sandwiches and,
actually just hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. Okay.
Yeah. Just hand the ball to Marshawn at the 1. Don't cook and get smart with it. Like I don't think he's a Kevin O'Connell quarterback, but if they wanted to bring him in for like a year or two on, a cheaper deal, which I don't think he's not going to accept. Like, no way in hell. So, I mean, some teams just gonna be like, oh, it's Russell Wilson, I'm gonna give him the moon. Like, no. So, I'm just saying, like, you're going to have more options in the draft. And Matthew Collar put this really well after the Lions game. He said the thing with Mullins is that he knows where the ball is supposed to go. He just doesn't have the arm to get it there. Like, Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins are pretty much Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, he had everyone's like Brandon Powell was wide open on the final play. Yeah, so was actually Justin Jefferson, because Justin Jefferson in the NFL, that is open. You have to throw to the spot and he will catch it and it's a touchdown. But he threw behind him, so he didn't get it.
He tried to put it on him, as he said in the press conference.
I don't know. I don't even know where this Russell Wilson and the Vikings thing even, like, is it his camp that like threw it? Like, maybe they're like, oh, I want to go back and look what Kevin O'Connell did for Kirk Cousins. Maybe he can do that for me. But I just don't. I don't think
he's also the same age as Kirk Cousins, so it's not like you're creating anything.
Same draft class too, right?
Yeah.
They had those battles in college, Wisconsin and Michigan State. But I think I'm just looking at the quarterback free agents that are going to be available next year, and there are some that are either at the same level as Russell Wilson, or either they're a little bit below, but they're going to be cheaper. Actually, I don't know how much Russell Wilson will cost. I don't think he's going to cost a lot. Or there's guys like, I would rather have the Vikings go after Baker Mayfield than Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, Baker Mayfield's out there next year. Gardner Minshew, I'd rather have him for a year or two. They could sign Ryan Tannehill to a cheap deal. Like, there are options that are not Russell Wilson.
And people are freaking out when you say those names, but look at Baker's probably the best example of like stopgap quarterback, because the guy hasn't been like Pro Bowl elites, like number 1 pick. But I mean, the expectations. Okay,
you got division.
Yeah. You got Mike Evans here. You got Chris Godwin here. You got Rashad White in the backfield. Go win the division, and he did.
And
so
teammates like him and stuff. So that's half the battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, just there's no way. I'm mad at Sean Payton once again in my life for making me feel bad for Russell Wilson. Like, I didn't like, nothing against Russell Wilson. He's just like an odd dude, and I just never really enjoyed his, his commentary. Yeah, his stick. It seemed very calculated and not legit. But now, Sean Payton is benching this dude so he doesn't get hurt, and he's coming out and saying, "Oh, we need a spark. Oh, we need a spark." This guy helped you get back into the playoff race. Like, without him, you're not even in the. You might be fired. You might have been a one and done coach. So, like, the fact that Sean Payton's coming out here and like, oh, I think he said like, oh, I can't bench the whole offensive line or get a brand new group of wide receivers. So this is, what we have. No, you just come out and say there's things in his contract that we want to look forward, and we're trying to figure out what we want to do next year, and we want to make sure we can do those things. And by not playing him, we can guarantee that he's not going to get hurt, and we won't owe him it's like a $37 million injury guarantee. It becomes fully guaranteed in March. That's what they're doing. Just come out and say, and everyone knows it. Like,
yeah,
just come out and say.
The Raiders did the same thing last year. Like it's
Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr.
Yep.
They benched him so they wouldn't have to pay him. And then, they tried to find a trade partner, and he's like, I'm not waiving my no trade. Screw you guys. And he's like, okay, well, we'll just release
I feel
you.
like, I don't know if it would go over any better, but I feel like players it would just not be as much of a problem if you're like, yeah, we don't think he's going to be around next year, so we don't want to mess it up for the rest of the franchise if he gets hurt. Also, they could be like, if he gets hurt, then that kind of sets his career back and ruins things for him, and he can't sign with anybody in March. So they are technically doing Russell Wilson a favor by keeping him healthy for when free agency does happen and they eventually do cut him. It doesn't seem that way because of the way Sean Payton and everything's being reported. But yeah, like, fuck you, Sean Payton. I don't want to like Russell Wilson. I hate that guy so much.
He's just, my parents actually watched the Sean Payton
Netflix movie.
Yeah. And they're like, my mom's just like, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, the guy who devised the scheme for like everybody to get hurt, which everybody had that type of scheme, but who's counting?
Everyone seems to forget that he was suspended for a year and then just came back like nothing happened.
Like nothing at all. And then, Kareem Jackson is like launching himself like a torpedo at everyone. Let's move on. Let's get back into the present. We can deal with Russell Wilson later. Vikings and Packers, New Year's Eve
border battle.
Everybody's gonna be liquored up. There's gonna be champagne everywhere. Actually, I don't think champagne probably would be really expensive inside US Bank Stadium. I think when I went for the Chargers game, beer, it was just like a tall boy silo. Like I was at like a bar in Elgin and it was $14. Like, that's the thing. When you go to those shows, do you tip too? Because now I feel like pressure when I go up to like the counter. Like if it's a beer, if it's like Wally the beer man, like walking up and down the stairs and like handing me a beer, I'll tip. But like when I go to the thing, like they have tip screen, the guy's like, look, and you're like,
no.
Like now
you just gave me a can. You didn't do anything.
Right. You're not like logging up and down stairs. Like Subway is like you go to Subway now and they're like, hey, give us a tip.
Subway, you go to Best Buy and they're like, you want to add a tip? No, I just bought a $3,000 TV. I don't want to give you a tip.
If you install it for me, sure. But I mean, like
every place.
And it depends too.
No.
If the Geek Squad guy comes and just plugs a couple of things in, like, sure, if he mounts my TV on the wall, I can't do that shit. Yeah, I'll do it. Like, going and grabbing a silo from the concession stand where I can just flip the top, which I can't because you actually crack it open for me. So I can't.
Right.
I don't know, chuck a full beer on the field or something. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't get that.
If it's a place where I frequent often and I enjoy their service, yes, I might throw some tips in there here and there. And especially food service wise. Like my dad has worked in food service his whole life, so I grew up working in food service as well. Like those people get tip wages, so tip them as much as possible. Unless their service is terrible, then don't tip them at all. Not at all, but give them a low tip.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everywhere you go now, like you're at the gas station. Do you want a tip? No, I don't want to. I'm getting a Mountain Dew. I don't want to tip you.
I know how the sausage is made at Quick Trip.
Yeah,
They just throw it in a high-powered microwave and stick it in the hot
no, I don't
spot.
want to give you a tip. Like
Yeah.
it's getting I think
Although I
I've seen like there's memes now that are like I don't know if it was like Christmas cards where like people holding up just like the tip thing that has like 20 and 15 and which one do you want to choose for this year? But yeah, like it's getting ridiculous.
I did go to Quick Trip a couple of times during my
Oh boy.
stay, and yes, once I got over the PTSD of like being in a Quick Trip again, I enjoyed the product.
I mean, well, they're the title sponsor of what? Purple Daily.
Purple Daily.
So
yes,
must be doing something right.
Quick Trip should like give us a call. I'd pump up Quick Trip.
They're gonna pay me. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they want me to talk about my old boss at Quick Trip, I might have some bad things to say, but that's not against the company. That's just against my boss who had his last name tattooed on his forearm and fought crystal meth tweakers over stealing dollar chicken sandwiches. Anyway, let's get back on track here.
Speaking of crystal meth tweakers, Packers.
Yeah. Vikings and Packers, 7:20 p.m. kickoff at US Bank Stadium on New Year's Eve. My mom, another segue here, because I don't care about the game. Like I'm just, like I said, I'm tired, man. I know, but like my mom, the entire
excited
time.
For Collinsworth?
What's that?
You're excited for Collinsworth? Just drooling all over Jordan Love the whole game?
Hey, now here's a guy, this guy reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. They got a good one over there.
Did he call Josh Dobbs Patrick Mahomes when they played the Broncos?
Yeah. I don't want to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. This guy really reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. And like Mike Tirico is just like, what the fuck are you saying, dude? I had, let's go on another segue because this is a good story. When I was in college, way back in the day, I went up to Stevens Point for a football game, and my color guy was kind of a moron. If I am being blunt, I don't think he follows me anymore because he likes Kirk and like loyal K-fan guy to a fault.
Okay.
Like working for the company and getting walked all over and that sort of thing. But that's another story for another time. Yeah, so we're up in Stevens Point, and River Falls football was not good while I was in college, and the Stevens Point running back is just juking everybody out of their shoes. And my color guy looks at me and he goes, "Man, I don't know, Chris, that's like Barry Sanders' kid out there." And I like looked at him and I go, "No, Jay, no, he's not." And then I just like turned around and like just went along with my business. But it's kind of like the Phil Mackey thing where it's just like him and Jonathan Vilma. What's that?
What was that, Division 3?
Division 3, yes.
Yeah, Barry Sanders in Division 3. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the kid doesn't live up to the namesake, just saying. But yeah, my mom freaked out a lot about this game and like when I was going to start and whatever. And they do a Vikings trip every year, and they decided that every city on the schedule was obscenely dangerous. So they just decided to go to Minneapolis.
What? Charlotte's dangerous.
Just gonna let everybody have a good laugh there. But then she was like, well, what if they flex it? I saw that they are flexing games to Thursday now. Like, could they flex to Thursday? Could they flex it to, could it be flexed to Monday night? Could it be flexed to next week? Could it be flexed? No, Mom, they're actually going to decide when the game is starting 5 minutes before the game. So you better be around the stadium at all times when you're up there. And then that way, when kickoff starts, you can just file right into the stadium. You don't know. It's like the Royal Rumble. You'll just see a giant countdown and all of a sudden a random game will start. Maybe it'll be Bucks Giants. Maybe it'll be Vikings Packers. Who knows? So they're not flexing it. They're keeping it at the same time. Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth will be on the call. Vikings and Packers both enter Sunday's game with 7-6 record. And the Vikings, according to the Action Network, are favored by 1 point. So it's basically a pick'em. What's going to be the biggest factor in this game?
Turnovers.
Yes.
I mean,
there are no secrets here anymore. We're week 17 and it's just like, all right, whatever.
Win the turnover battle. Throw to Justin Jefferson. Give Ty Chandler some more carries. Play better pass defense. I I mean, yeah, just don't turn the ball over. Don't throw 4 interceptions. It seems really simple, but I mean, and Bryce Young just threw 300 and some odd yards against the Packers last week, and that was easily his season high. I think his previous season high was like 260. So this is going to be at home in Minnesota, where the Vikings aren't that good this year. It's weird. For like the first time
2-5.
They're not good. So maybe it's everyone just all the backups just get spooked out of their minds in front of the crowd, inside, all the music and the lights and
it's loud. I can't hear my coach. It's
exactly.
loud. It's loud.
Exactly. So yeah, just don't turn the ball over a lot. Just don't turn the ball over. Like, it seems, I want to say more stuff, but like that's really all they've had to do the last few weeks is not turn the ball over, and but they haven't, and they lost. So it seems very simple. And just don't make Jaren Hall do stuff that he's not capable of. I think we talked about it earlier. Don't think that he's Kirk Cousins. He's going to go run out there and run. Yeah, I think that might be the advantage that Jaren Hall has going into this game, is that Kevin O'Connell is going to assume that he doesn't really know still a bunch of the playbook, so he's not going to ask him to run certain things. So it's kind of like when Josh Dobbs first came in and his first game and his first start, Kevin O'Connell kind of gave him like a smaller playbook, but as the weeks went on and Dobbs learned more of the playbook, and O'Connell felt like, oh, he knows this now, he can run this. No, he can't, because he can't do that. So I think that might be something to Hall's advantage, that he's still a little bit limited in terms of knowing the offense, at least from our point of view. But yeah, you know what? I really don't care if they win or lose.
I don't know if you saw me. I was laughing. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any of this.
Because you know what? If they lose, they get a better draft pick.
Yeah.
They'll have to possibly have to give up less to move up in the draft to get a quarterback they want, if they want someone. Like right now, they're 7-8. And if they finish 7-10, they could. I threw this out there a couple days ago. They could potentially have a top 5 pick if things go their way. Like, I think like the Giants and Cardinals have to win like all their games, but it's possible. Like, they're gonna, if they lose their final 2 games, they're gonna have a pick between 5 and 10. That's likely.
Yeah.
But if they get in the playoffs, the lowest they can go is 19. So like, I know they want to win and everything, but what? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so let's break this down into 2 sections here. The players are going to play to win.
Oh yeah.
100%. They're going. I mean, I think Alec Lewis had a piece in The Athletic where he's just like, tell Jordan Hicks to like not give up. And I mean, that was kind of weird, to be honest. I like Alec's work, by the way. I would love to have him on the show.
Take the guy who almost lost his leg and ask him if he wants to keep playing.
Ask Justin Jefferson, who valiantly battled his way back. Like, just like, am I reading a Wild article? What's going on here? But from a player standpoint, they're going to play hard as long as there's a chance. I mean, hell, they might even play hard in Detroit if the game doesn't even matter, because they want to.
Well, they're playing for their jobs too, their future.
Exactly. Like nothing is guaranteed for a lot of those guys. Right. If they dog it, I mean, that could be the difference between going into training camp in a battle or just being, hey, thanks for your service. Go find a new home.
Cut before your contract runs out.
Right. From a best for business standpoint, I would rather see them lose both games. Now, if they beat the Packers, there's always that emotional element. Like, beating the Packers is good. You can go make fun of your, John Deere cult friends, and that's always fun.
Watch Aaron Nagler freak out on GSM TV.
Yes, like we get some Packer vent line, and that would be.
Oh, we haven't even talked about Jair Alexander. We didn't even talk about that. Oh my God.
That whole thing was hilarious. Like, that dude looked like he was stoned out of his mind when he's talking. Just like, hey man, I was just like, Yeah, I'm going out for the coin toss. And you saw what
He said,
happened.
"I'm from
Yeah, we
Charlotte."
did. We did. I'm from Charlotte, man. I'm not a captain. I was going out for the coin toss. And they're like, so what do you want? Defer.
Yeah, the
You
fucking
want to
ref's
defer?
helping.
Or no, he said
He
play
wanted to be on
defense.
defense.
And he's like, so you want to defer? Oh, man.
He almost made it so the Panthers got the ball in both halves to start. And the rest were like, I don't think you want to do that.
You know, and the funny thing is, if it were the Vikings, they would have been like, okay, yeah, sure. That was the other thing that I was going to mention about the Vikings game, the refs. And like, you know, I've kind of like mellowed out over like complaining about calls because it just happens now. Like,
I mean, you throw 4 interceptions, you deserve to lose.
Right. But I mean, like the refs, I don't know his name. Like the lead ref in that group just looks like the biggest condescending jackass I've ever seen. What's his name?
His name is Land.
Land
Clark.
Land Clark. L-A-N-D?
Yes.
Land.
He was their refs were the same ones they had for the Chiefs game. So you shouldn't even be surprised at what they did in the Lions game because the same thing happened.
And I mean, the way that he announces penalties is just like funny to me because he's just like,
oh yeah,
I'm really well endowed. Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty, first down, cuts his mic off. Fucking idiots. And then, you know, just like, God, I have a massive dollar. All right, gotta announce this penalty. False start, number 76 offense. First down. Idiot.
Yeah, it was
like you know, just kind of like, can you just announce the penalty? Like we all know that the guy's a moron, but I mean, you just you know.
It was
we had a guy at Quick Trip that was like that too. A lot of Quick Trip stories in this episode.
I think the two biggest calls were what? Patrick Jones roughing the passer early, and then the legal contact in the second half on Jalen Williams. I think those are probably two most notable that I remember. But at the same time, yeah, throw 4 interceptions, you're probably not going to win, regardless of how they could have had one penalty and they probably would have lost if they still had 4 interceptions. So I don't, and the Lions, you know what? They're good.
Good for them.
They're a good team.
Seriously,
will they be good next year when Ben Johnson leaves? I don't think so.
And by the way, have you seen what the Pistons are doing right now?
Oh,
they need something over there. Like good for the Lions for stepping up because
there's always one Detroit team that just like they can't have everyone be. Someone has to like suck and not like just be bad. They have to be like historically bad. Like,
yes,
you had the Lions who went 0-16. I think the Tigers had like the all-time worst record in baseball. The Pistons were like, it's our time. It's our time now.
Time to carry the torch.
I think they had open tryouts the other day. Like just people on the street. They're like, "Can you guys do anything? Just anything."
It's like what's the Will Ferrell movie? The basketball one.
Oh yes.
The Flint Tropics.
Semi-pro.
Yes, that's like what they did.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I could get on about the Pistons. But
everybody's gonna be on the floor for them soon.
I'm just like running away from this game and like any which way to talk about it.
We've talked about probably 75 different things that don't have to do with Vikings and Packers.
Like seriously, just crack some beers, watch the game, and just find your joy. If you want to see the Vikings beat the Packers, good, go for it. If you want to see the Vikings lose and get a draft, if you want to see Jaron Hall play like dog shit, fine, like go ahead, like find your joy. It's New Year's Eve. You're gonna have some beverages or whatever. Like for me, I would rather have the top 10 or 5 or 10 pick because it's going to make it easier to trade up. You're not going to have to give up as much. Hell, if you wind up with a 7, 8, 9-ish pick, like Jaden Daniels will be right there. And you and I had a conversation about Jaden Daniels last night. I don't know. Maybe it was like the Thor draft day type story about him in the jet simulator, just like Neo or whatever that kind of had me sold. But I mean, watching his tape, that dude throws some fucking bombs. Like he is fine. He can run. He's throwing downfield. He figured out how to do short and medium passes. Like, I mean,
I'll give you a scenario before we get out of here.
Oops.
Would you rather have Jaron Hall win these next 2 games and lead them to the NFC Championship, or would you rather have them lose the next 2 games?
NFC Championship would be fun,
That
wouldn't
would
it?
be fun. That would be fun. I didn't say win it or lose it, so I left that open.
Just get our hopes up just to kick us in the nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, NFC, I think somebody would be like playoff wins bad. And I mean, no. I mean, I just don't think they have the horses for it. Like
No.
Hawkinson's out.
But the
like,
Browns don't
Harrison-
either. I keep going back to the
Yes.
Browns. They have lost so many players.
But the guys that are on the field for the Vikings are like Harrison Phillips can't even walk.
Right.
Like, like Brian O'Neill's going to play. He's going to be limping out there on Saturday or on whatever
Byron
day
Murphy
it is.
Byron Murphy just got ruled out again for Sunday. Yeah. KJ Osborne's out there. He's ready to go.
Hey, my man KJ. Hope he finds a good team. He's a good dude. Like I shouldn't say that, but what's your prediction?
I mean, it's gonna be a one-score game. That's just how it goes. So what the heck? We'll do 23-21 Vikings.
I know the Packers defense is bad, but like I said,
really
they
bad.
just I mean, unless if like I think I can't maybe Phil Mackey somebody said this, but it was like it's almost like a bad thing Jair is out because the Packers would have been like, all right, Jair, JJ, let's go. Yep. Like this. Yep. Now it's like, okay, we can utilize other players to stop him that aren't complete head cases. And
it's like the opposite of when Jefferson was out, where it's like, okay, now we can just spread the ball around and we're doing well. Weird.
Like if they take away Justin Jefferson, the game's over. Like Jordan Addison's got a bad ankle.
Well, you don't think Josh Oliver's going to step up and have 10 catches?
Well, they paid him enough. He probably should. But they paid him to block, okay?
Don't bring that up, okay?
Oh, people are mad about that now?
No, I remember earlier in the year when I was like, oh, I'm so happy they gave him $21 million to just block. And everyone's like, whoa, that's what he's supposed to do. It's like, then sign an offensive lineman.
It's like Bill Guerin signing a grinder for $4 million. I like that guy on my team. Okay, whatever, boomer. But he's got 2 cups. He can walk around and be jackasses to travel people because he's got 2 cups. 21-10 Packers.
Stanley Cups.
Yeah, Stanley Cups. 21-10 Packers. There's just too many injuries. And
wow, not even a one-score game.
No,
it's a blowout.
I don't have faith in Jaron Hall. I'm sorry. Like I'm not. I saw the drive against the Falcons, but
you don't have faith on arguably the most religious guy on the team.
No, I don't know.
I said arguably.
Kirk and Hall are just gonna have a religion.
Nick Mullins
is gonna be like
religious too.
It's gonna be Pedro Serrano and Harris from Major League. Like
I think Josh Dobbs is like, yeah, I clearly believe in space because I'm a rocket scientist. So.
Josh Dobbs is going to build himself a rocket right out of that conversation. Just like curveball. You don't think Jesus Christ can hear a curveball? Come on,
what?
Man.
I would like to say, good for Josh Dobbs too, because I feel like he could have created all this commotion and made this a big scene, but he got benched and he's not even the second string guy. He's third string.
Yeah.
He could have had someone leak some sources, team source things and get some things all ruffled, but we haven't heard any of that. So thankful for that, because in the past that might not have happened.
No, it wouldn't have. I saw Zim wants to coach again too. It's like another like we don't have to go
new Packers defensive coordinator is Mike Zimmer.
I think he would like that very much.
Oh no!
You want to play the Vikings twice? Yes, I would. I would love that opportunity.
Like that.
What's going
on?
Even
the Lions? No, I think he might go to. He might if the Lions get rid of Aaron Glenn. I think he would
because they have that's Parcells'
Campbell.
coaching tree.
Yes.
Dan Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was on the Cowboys when Zim was there. So
that too.
Oh boy.
Interesting. Hey, what's going on in the Viking age, man?
Oh, we're getting ready for this awesome game. Just had a mock draft. Just had some bold predictions come out. I think I'm gonna get I'm gonna look back and put out a piece, kind of some moments that we might have forgot about. Looking back, because there's a whole hiring process of Brian Flores, who they almost hired, some of the free agents they were looking at, some of the players they were looking to draft. I think, sometimes we forget they wanted to trade up. There was rumors about them trying to trade up for Anthony Richardson, even CJ Stroud. So like there's a lot I feel like we forgot about, and it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, go check it out, thevikingage.com.
Don't forget the Lamar Jackson report.
I did forget, and now I'm going to include that. So yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, where can people follow us on social media too, as I flash it on the screen?
Well, you can follow me at Adam Patrick NFL on Twitter, X, whatever that thing is now, or on Threads. Threads is where it's at.
Threads is mythical, wonderful social media. It's always slightly less. I still get the porn bots over there. But
it's like right now I feel like it's like the Bing to Google. It's like in that stage. If you compare that to Twitter. But there obviously aren't as many people over on Threads yet. But give it a year. I think we'll see some changes, some mass exoduses from Twitter over to Threads. We'll see.
Well, you can follow me at the real Chris Schad as well. Been doing some stuff on X. You probably saw me over Christmas tweeting because I was bored, and
TikTok too, right?
Yeah, and I'm doing some TikTok now. I got a little bit of Instagram, a lot of interesting things going on in social media. So yeah, you're gonna want to check it all out. But that's all the time we have for the Viking Age today. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, don't forget to rate, comment, share, and subscribe. You never miss a new episode, and we can send the word to the masses. For Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad. This has been the Viking Age Podcast.